Welcome to another edition of Ion Sullivan. I am Mike McGuire, your host, joined today, as we are each week, by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Rob, good afternoon.
Hey, how are we doing today? Nice sunny day here in Sullivan County?
We are doing great. Doesn't the sun always shine in Sullivan County?
No, not really.
So it's All-Star night.
But by the way, I just want to go back to the sun shining. It rained so hard the other night from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. I mean, I swear I thought one of my trucks was going to float down the road.
So last night, there was a clap of thunder so loud that my dog, Brody, who usually sleeps at the foot of the bed, came up to my shoulders. I'm like, Brody, what are you doing here?
And what time was that?
It was probably right before I got up at 2:30 or so.
Oh, it didn't in Bethel, but
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But anyway, tonight is All-Star night.
It's All-Star night.
I remember as a kid begging my mom to stay up to watch that game.
Always.
Whew.
You know, these All-Star games are not what they once were. But tonight's going to be interesting because they will have no home plate umpire.
Yeah, they're going with the robot.
They're going with the robot tonight. So I haven't watched an All-Star game in years, and I remember as a kid growing up, that was like the highlight of the summer.
Well, you have to remember there was no interleague play back then.
Nope.
Right, so you didn't get to see,
Correct.
a lot of the ball players until they played in the All-Star.
Other than the Yankees, I was a Met fan.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. I was a Met fan, and
I was a Yankee fan.
You were a Yankee fan, and but for 69, a little bit of 70, there wasn't much to cheer for those 162 games.
Stark times.
Stark times. So the All-Star game was always it. But tonight, I'm anxious to see how the computer does. And what's interesting is the teams have, I think it's 4 challenges. Who do you go to on the challenge when the computer has called it?
I don't know the answer to that question.
That's going to be a very interesting thing to see.
I bet you there's some pitches that could fool the computer.
I imagine that they can.
I'm sure
they
you can fool it. But we're going to find out now, aren't we?
And I want to see if the computer can throw someone out.
I don't like the computer for several reasons. One, I think that the human element is part of the game.
It's part of every game. I agree with you 100% on that.
Right, and then number 2, who does the play at the plate?
Yep.
Right. I mean, and then remember some guys get called safe because of blocking.
Yep.
Right. And I mean, if you saw, I don't know if you saw the Volpe play last week, where he's sliding in. Right. So he's coming in with both hands
in the Met game.
Yeah, and the catcher, it's the Yankee game.
Okay.
And it was against Chicago, I believe. And as the catcher catches the ball, he pulls his arm back. This isn't a full slide and gets the right hand. And most people would have missed that.
Would have missed that. In the Met game, 2 days in a row, they successfully challenged a steal of second base where second baseman takes the tag, keeps the tag on, the guy slides over the bag. And the umpire called him safe in both instances, and
banged him
on
up.
replay, he was out.
Wow.
So, that's interesting. But you take the human element out of the game, and, then how far are we from not really needing the players, and we just
Correct.
do these computer-generated games?
Come on. Stop,
let's, for the most part, the last couple of years they've had the simulated strike zone on the TV. And you know what? Those umpires don't get many of them wrong.
No, they do not. Angel Hernandez did, but that's
he
another story
did.
for another day.
Yeah.
But he's no longer in the game.
Right.
But they, but now remember that guy Joyce.
Yep.
He got that call wrong at first.
Yep.
And caused a pitcher a perfect game.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
So
and then he went down tragically also.
Yeah, and that was
in the Cincinnati in the opening day.
Yeah.
He went down. He had a stroke behind the plate.
Yeah, these things happen.
It happens, but. So we'll see tonight. We'll see tonight what happens. There's no salary cap in baseball yet, but there is a tax cap in New York State.
Oh, tax cap. Well, I believe Andrew Cuomo put that in.
He did.
And so I found that most people will accept going to the tax cap. Okay.
Most people will. I know one particular person that I think what has happened is everybody has said generally the tax cap's around 2%, and everybody has said, okay, so we can raise taxes 2%. Now, I know one particular person who said, wait a minute, why are we assuming a 2% increase.
I agree.
Because if you live like in one of our villages, and we're going to talk about the villages,
Oh,
2% the village goes up, 2% the school district goes up, 2% the county goes up. All of a sudden, you're talking about a 6% tax increase.
correct.
Across the board, and this
now-
county can't afford that.
Now in our county, we have a very, very large older population.
That's correct.
And so living on fixed incomes.
And we've got a very large Medicaid population, which
Yes,
is
we do.
also on a fixed income.
Correct. And, now you have a situation where they're being, affordability in this county is becoming a serious issue. I watched the planning committee meeting last week on the county level.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! By the way, and they were talking, about this grant this, grant that. Remember when I used to sit there and say, "Forget grants. No one's coming to save us."
Correct.
We need to manage our own money.
Correct.
I remember one time,
But
there
not
was-
everybody thinks that way. Everybody thinks about spend. And I do a fair amount of matrimonial work, and a lot of people around their kitchen tables think that way. Well, we'll just spend and put the plastic down on the table, and then all of a sudden at 29%. And that's what we're seeing some of these communities are doing, is we're spending, and then we're figuring out how to pay for it.
Okay, so my dear friend Mike Brooks, who I love
Dearly departed.
and miss terribly,
Yep.
did not talk for 6 months at the end of our
That's
tenure.
correct. Folks, that is correct. That is the one time that there was a cavern between Rob and George and Mike. They were often put together as a group. Well,
Correct.
we know that the leadership of the Republican Party put them together as a group and got rid of them all as a group.
Correct.
And that it ushered in the fiscal irresponsibility that we see now. But we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
But go ahead with Mike Brooks.
So
So for 6 months, you didn't speak
So at
in the
the
beginning
end,
of 24.
correct. So what happened was in our last meeting, Mr. Brooks, who I love dearly and miss terribly,
Every day. His picture's right on my credenza there.
yeah,
Yeah.
is close to mine as well. And so he, there was a price increase in health insurance.
Yep.
I said we can pay this, out of the fund balance, which when I came into office, it was at 14 million. I left it at 87 million. Even during COVID and everything else, we only got $14 million for COVID. Wasn't a lot of money because you had demonstrated loss.
And that was used responsibly to pay for projects that had to be done.
Correct.
It wasn't like some, we're going to go waste this money.
No.
It was paid for roads.
The college.
and the college's
Heating
system, which is pretty important.
Heating and cooling system,
Yeah,
correct.
pretty important
Well,
here.
Well, what was important about that was it was the thermodynamic
Right,
one,
right.
and it was very important to keep that program going.
The geothermal wells.
The geothermal wells, correct. Because it was very important to keep that program going. And they had neglected it, like they've neglected so many things in this county.
Well, they neglected admissions too, but that's anher story for another day.
For another day. And they had definitely neglected the dorm, and that's why it's closed right now.
The newest building on the campus, it was last in, first out.
I, from what I understand now, there's a swimming pool in there, so because the roof was well. But anyway,
Well, it's better than the outdoor swimming pool that they built for about $400,000.
so I wanted to use $1 million to pay the increase, and then Josh and his financial staff would have figured out how to get into the budget the following year, and it wouldn't have been an issue.
Well, to be clear, folks, you're going to hear Rob primarily and myself rail against places that are using fund balance to balance the budget, because what you do is you just defer for a year or two a giant hole that has to be filled.
You have to deal with your problems up front. And in the 4 years that I was in office, we did not use fund balance one time. We added to fund balance every single year.
And you didn't go into debt.
And not only did we not bond a dime, we paid off $26 million in bonds ahead of schedule. So we were paying our normal bills, like let's say you have a credit card, and you were just paying your credit card as you normally would every
Yep.
month. We paid $26 million more on top of that, as well as increasing
The fund
our
balance.
fund balance by $73 million. That's what my administration did.
So, as a lead-in, so that people don't jump on us and say you're advocating using fund balance to balance the budget.
no,
That's
no.
not what Rob is saying. We're going to use a little bit of that money to avoid an increase, and then build a budget because that increase came late
Correct.
in the game, which often happens with health insurance and retirement increases.
Correct.
And then it would have given Josh and his amazing staff a year to figure out how to balance that out in a subsequent budget without having to eliminate jobs.
Correct, because I did not want the people of Sullivan to be taxed any more than they have to be.
Correct.
And I am anti-tax 1,000%.
So
Okay?
over the 4 years that you were in, let's just set the stage here because we know that Greg Goldstein and his cohorts engineered Rob and Mike and George out of office
Correct, they lied.
because they weren't cooperating.
Correct. That's the exact term. Rob was not cooperating. That's a
And
fact.
so now,
And I would not cooperate.
And now what we've got is we've got some financial issues, but let's set. I always like to start from the beginning.
Okay, let's go.
4 years you were in office.
Yes.
Okay. And over the course of that 4 years, what were your increases budgetarily those
Okay,
4 years?
So the first year, I believe it was the COVID year. You have to remember that.
That was 2020.
Correct. So
2020.
I believe that was 2.2%.
Right, which was
Okay.
right at the cap.
We were a smidgen under the cap, but we were in COVID. You have to
Right.
understand what was happening.
And it was the year of COVID, so there was no supplemental money coming in
No.
yet. We had to save jobs
Correct.
and save programs
Correct.
when there was significantly less revenue coming in.
Correct. So revenue went down significantly.
Right.
And we were able to manage to keep it at that level. Other places were going way over the cap. Okay?
Well, that was a storm, and you had to weather the storm.
Correct. And I did that by, looking at our finances, being able to understand the financial, picture of the county, with great help from, Nancy Buck, Josh's staff, Angela Chevalier. I mean, these people are so good at their job.
Janet.
Janet was still with the county then. And the best thing about Janet is every day I'd go in there and I'd have like 5 questions. Janet, if we do this, we do this, what happens? What's the cost on this? What's the cost on this? Cost on this? And she would usually say to me, "Give me till after lunch, I'll give you the answer." And then we'd get the answer. Then I'd walk back over to Josh. What happens if we do this, and this? And he'd be like, "Well, okay, we could do that." And that was the open conversation we used to have.
You said every day, but you meant just Thursday mornings.
No, I was there every day. I was
There
there
every day?
Every day.
Managing a budget, folks, it's a full-time
It's a
job.
full-time job.
It's a very complex budget. It's not a simple thing.
Yeah.
And every move you make has effects in all other places.
Correct, and you're affecting people's lives.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, because one, if you make a mistake, you have layoffs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had layoffs
well,
for COVID,
well,
but those people all wound up
pretty good.
Just fine.
They all wound up pretty good. And remember, all the contracts were up at that time also.
Correct.
So we had to start negotiating contracts. And so there's
with complete no idea what was ahead of us.
Correct.
We had no idea.
Correct. And so then we had at the time 9 contracts. One union went by the wayside, and so there was 8 contracts that we had to do.
And they went by the wayside because you built trust
Correct.
amongst them. That union was formed because of fundamental distrust that had developed between the county administration
Correct.
and the middle managers.
Well, the legislature also, to be quite frank.
Well, let's say county administration.
I mean, because they were not listening to their concerns.
Right.
Okay. They were not having open, honest conversations. There's rules on the books that technically I'm not allowed if I'm a legislator, I'm not allowed to talk to commissioners
Right.
without going through the county manager first, because so many of the legislatures have abused
Sure.
commissioners.
Sure.
I mean, it was kind of funny to me because there is a commissioner that lives next door to me, and I would always joke with her, "Oh, I'm not allowed to talk to you," because it was kind of a joke between us. But the point is, so we went to the cap the first year. The second year, there was no tax increase,
Zero.
zero.
And the cap was still probably a little over 2.
Correct. The third year, it was I think it was 1.1, but we eliminated the garbage tax.
Right.
Right. That I believe Chris Cunningham's administration had put on because they mismanaged the landfill so poorly, and that still had 5 more years to go
run.
to run, and we eliminated it early, so you were negative.
And the electric tax, the electric surcharge.
Correct.
We put out.
And we got rid of that also earlier as well. So we eliminated 2 taxes, and so overall, money out of your pocket was less than it. Even though it was like 1.1, you actually had tax savings in
Right.
that year. And then the last year, we were all set for a 0 tax increase. The New York State and their,
Infinite wisdom.
the way they play ball, they always push the debt down to the counties. That's why when people ask to share money with the counties, it's a dangerous game because we never know our budget. Okay,
Right.
we never know our expenses, the expense side of our budget, till almost the last day.
Well, remember
Okay.
that the county budget gets passed in the middle of December.
Correct.
The state budget is March
Correct.
or April or May.
Correct. Well, yeah.
So we have no idea. They will let us know usually, sometimes right in December,
correct
that your night ship premiums are going up, or a retirement
Significant.
fund is going to
or
go
we're
up.
eliminating this insurance, or we're
Right.
eliminating that insurance, and then you as the county, the state does a very good job. So on big counties, it really doesn't matter to them, but on small counties, like we're only 78,000 people. I mean, $1 million to Westchester County is a flick.
Right.
I mean, Putnam County, one of the richest counties in the country. Okay, not in the state of New York,
Right.
in the country. So when people are like, "Oh, they don't have a city and they share sales tax," I'm like, they're so wealthy, it's crazy.
Well, we know even Orange County. We met with the county executive down there
Yeah.
on the nursing home situation, and their $8 or $9 million loss was like, yeah, it's not worth the to hit the political third rail.
Yeah, he said
so.
that
We
flat
can
out.
accept that $8-9 million loss,
Correct.
and his finance people sit there and say, yeah, that's no big deal.
So they have a thing called Woodbury Commons
Yeah,
that
heard of
generates
it.
more sales tax than our budget.
right. And that's not the only place that sales tax is generated in that
Correct.
county.
Correct.
Right.
So they generate more sales tax in that county for that county than our whole budget. To put it in perspective, I mean
Yeah.
it's a monster.
It's a monster.
Okay, so when you talk about it, I just and people would compare us to Orange County. I'm like, it's apples and oranges.
apples, yeah,
I mean, we can't even compare to them. And I would compare us to Delaware, and some people were like, "Oh, that's not fair." I'm like, it's more realistic.
Right. Which is why the prevailing rate should be more Sullivan North than Sullivan South.
Oh yeah, I mean
Prevailing wage.
Well, that goes to the DOT also. We should be in the southern tier, not in Mid Hudson. I mean, it's labor wages. It's everything. I mean, it's totally different, and which costs us more. And people just don't. Most legislators don't understand it, and so
Right.
when you bring it up, it's they're there for 4 hours, maybe 5, maybe a long day is 5 hours, so they just don't understand it.
By their own abuse of time, are they there 5 hours?
Yeah, they're just hanging out in the hallway chatting. I
Right.
mean, the meetings do go a little bit long, but and they're quite festive. I mean, they argue and yell at each other. I mean, I remember a few people said I'm going to bring decorum back to the legislature. I said, I don't know when there was decorum in the
Right.
legislature. Okay,
But there's not now.
Okay, well, they were saying that the term before me there was decorum, and they overspent their revenues 4 years in a row.
Right.
Okay? They broke the cap one time also there too. Well, getting to breaking the cap,
Yeah.
there's a vote on this Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't know when my friend Jacob is going to have this up. You know, it's Tuesday now, about 4:30ish. There's a public hearing on breaking the cap.
All right, so let's get into that now. So we got the historical perspective of, in your administration, the one that the supposedly the fictitious conservative Republican Party, the Republican leadership, which is certainly don't adhere to Republican traditional values.
No.
They had to get rid of you, and you had only approached the cap during the most desperate
Correct.
year.
Correct.
And other than that, you were either at 0 or 1, a full % below the cap.
Correct.
All right. And you left the county $87 million.
And one of the years, we were minus.
Okay. Right. You left the county with a very healthy fund balance. Lots of arguments about, well, some of it is restricted. Whatever. We came in at 14, went out at 87. Percentages are what they are. You left the county for the first time ever fiscally healthy, according to the state of New York.
Okay, according to Mr. DiNapoli, okay, we had zero financial stress for the
Right.
first time in the history of the county. We were one of 3 counties in the state of New York to have zero fiscal stress.
So that was in 2024. So that's where we jump off, and the
2023.
January,
Yeah,
December
yeah,
31st.
yeah.
So they take the reins January 2nd of 2024 they take the reins of the most healthy financial situation that this county has ever seen, and one of the top 3 healthiest financial situations across the whole state of New York.
Correct.
So that's what they do. And
I'm
there's
not
no
saying
COVID.
that. Mr. DiNapoli said
DiNapoli's saying that, who's probably not a Republican.
that. He is not a Republican.
Right. So that's where
And he's
they
not
take
fiscal conservative either.
He is not.
Okay.
So that's where they take over. And now we're talking about what's going to happen this Thursday.
So this Thursday, they are having a public hearing.
They being the
They
legislature.
being legislature, and I'm sure there will be a vote immediately after, or it will be the following week.
Or maybe they've already taken the vote in the back.
Well, yes, they have discussed that also, that we're not supposed to discuss it up there. We talk about this stuff in the back. And
Right.
I was like, did he just say that out loud? And they're like, oh, he just said that
He said
out loud.
that. Yeah.
Right. So, and the funny thing is, when people like transparency, I'm like, I was as transparent as they come. All right. I was like,
Transparent to a fault.
correct. I was. My wife used to say it all the time. I'd be like, first, second, discuss. Well, I don't know anything about this. No, we're discussing it right now. You got the packet on Friday. We're
Right, here we
discussing it
are.
today.
Right.
And they're like, oh no, we discussed this in the back.
Yeah.
And several of them said that. And I'm like, no, we're going to discuss it out in the open right now.
Yeah, this is what's it for a second discuss, and then if you need to table it or whatever, you do that.
Yeah.
So okay. So the county legislature,
Yes.
the 9 stewards
Yeah.
of our county,
Yeah.
who have another 2 years to go on their terms.
Well,
Two
they have
years.
2 years, but and I know that.
The last year is
The last year that
not insignificant.
They're just pushing papers.
and this is the group that they brought in to fix
But by
the county's woes.
By the way, they used to say, legislators used to say to me all the time, well, the last year we really don't do anything. I said, I got elected for 4 years.
Right.
I'm working to the final day.
And you did.
And I did.
And you did. Okay.
Okay.
So just to set the scene, this is the group that was brought in to fix the county's woes that you left for the county.
Okay.
And what is this hearing about on Thursday morning?
Is to break the tax cap.
Break the tax up. That means that the state of New York does a formula each year, and they tell the counties in the state what's the maximum increase you can have in your taxes.
Correct.
And it's usually somewhere between 2 and 2.5%.
Correct.
In that neighborhood. And to go over that, if you want to do, a 4% tax increase or 5 or something over
Oh, no,
that.
no. We're talking 10, 12%.
Okay.
here. Okay.
But if you want to just go over the tax cap, what do you have to do?
So you have to have a public hearing, okay? Then you have to have a majority of the board vote. So our majority, no, I'm sorry, you have to have a supermajority.
Supermajority.
So you have to have 6 people agree. So 6 and 9 people have to agree that your financial situation is so poor that you're willing to tax the people of Sullivan because you basically just didn't do your job.
And if you don't do that under municipal home rule, what does the state have the right to do? If you don't take that vote, if you just blow the cap out.
Well, you can't.
You can't.
You can't. I mean,
Right.
the state gets pretty angry. And
Angry.
And they stop giving you money.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you blow it out, you run the risk of losing your state aid,
Correct.
which is a significant part of the money.
Correct.
Of the money that it takes to operate a county. So they're voting now to exceed the cap. Now, let's understand something. You left $87 million in the fund balance. You left some debt from the jail, which predated you.
Oh, yeah, predated.
But we were on a course. You had a plan to pay that down.
So if I was reelected and George and Mike were reelected with the addition of Nikki and Terry, we would have been out of debt completely by the end of this term.
At the end of this term, which means the jail would have been paid off.
Everything would have been paid off. We would have been at 0 debt.
Right. So we were aiming to 0 debt, which was your plan when you came in, was you got to get the debt under control.
That is the key to running any business.
Any home.
Okay? You don't put it on credit cards. You don't pay the interest. You deal with your problems as they come. Okay? Obviously, you can foresee some problems. I know people don't believe that, but you really can.
Well, you have to.
Okay, the number one cost in any municipality is labor.
Correct.
Okay? And from day one, I said to you as the county attorney, to Josh as the county manager, and to Julie Deitcher as the county human resource, head of human resources, we have to settle these contracts.
Correct.
Okay? And as you sat in the room with me, we had professional representation, gentleman by the name of Jim Robo, who's been doing this for 50 years.
Yep, this is what he does.
Okay, he's played both sides of the fence. He's worked for the CSCA. He has worked for counties, and he has a very good law firm, and he's very good at it. And he was a little shocked when I said to him, Jim, I just need you to advise me.
Right.
If this is legal, it's not legal. I need to know the law when we're negotiating. And he was kind of stunned. And then he had to be told by you that you work for Mike.
Right. He's part of the county attorney's office. The county
Correct.
attorney's office paying him out of the budget that we get from the legislature.
Correct.
But he is just like any other attorney in my office.
Correct.
Because you had legislators that wanted to cut out the county attorney's office and cut out the legislature and let Jim just go on his own.
Yeah, so Nadia Reich in particular.
Yep. The chair currently.
Yeah, the current chair, that's the head of this upcoming disaster, wanted to have Josh and Jim negotiate the contracts.
And Josh really didn't see that he had a need to be at the table. Josh was very much part of, because we were in constant communication with Josh.
Daily.
On sometimes hourly.
Correct.
What can we do? We had his whole staff ready to go.
Correct.
To respond in real time when you were at the table.
Correct.
Which is why it was important to have myself and you and Julie and Jim as our mouthpiece.
Correct.
That was critical because it allowed us to keep filtering information through Josh.
Correct. And
that's not the way they used to do it.
Well, no. So that's not the way they used to do it. But
the employees were happy.
Yeah, no.
They didn't do it the way they used to do it.
You are correct.
Yeah.
So I remember one time one legislator said to me, we settled a 7-year CSA contract. I said, no, you didn't. Yeah. Oh, no, we did, right? Josh, we did, right? I said, no, you took a 3-year contract, made it a 7-year contract because you didn't settle it for 4 more years,
right,
and then gave out 2 zeros to these people.
Right.
So you're talking about people who, have the worst job in the county, okay?
Right.
Okay? Can be mandated at any time,
right,
okay, to stay another shift. did not have health insurance in retirement. Okay, and you were giving them zeros because you couldn't come to a conclusion.
Multiple zeros.
Yeah, multiple zeros. I'm like, is this really happening?
Right.
Right.
Well, but they were there for the employees.
They were not there for the employees.
They unlike you that had a general sense of fear up and down the hallways, people walking on eggshells. They were there committed to the employees.
I get lots of hugs when I go in the building.
Yeah,
lots
so do
of
I.
hugs. Okay, I get lots of phone calls. I still have open dialogue with a lot of employees.
So Thursday morning. Thursday morning, we're going to vote to what?
Well, no.
how can that
It's a public hearing, but usually we all know how this
Right.
game is played.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have the public hearing. If they feel that they can get away with it, they're going to vote on it right then on the spot.
Right.
They're going to go right into the meeting, and boom, they're going to vote for it. And then it's determined how much down the road. Okay, but once you open the key, I remember Ira Steingart saying, "Oh, this has to be an option every year. This will never be an option."
Not while you sat in the center square.
I said, as long as I'm sitting here, this will never be an option.
Right.
And it was never an option.
And it was never necessary.
No, because
And there was a growth. Even with all that, we still had growth. We were filling positions. We were adding
Correct.
positions.
I mean, we finished a project on East Broadway
Right. And paid the village's share.
and paid the village's share.
It's a 22 year, 23 years.
27-year project.
Right.
Okay. They were waiting 27 years
Ed
to do
McAndrew
that.
had that on his desk for 27 years.
And he said to me, "Rob, if we do anything, can we do this project?"
Right.
And I said, "Ed, yes." Not only that, we paved, in those 4 years, we paved more roads than we've ever paved in any 4-year increment.
Correct?
We were so far behind with culvert boxes and the pre-construction that you do for the sides of the roads. We caught up on all that as well. Okay.
Right.
We brought the sheriff's department into a different century. We were able to get them real-time information. We started a drone program. We really stepped up the drug enforcement.
The
Celebrate
program.
program. I mean,
the schools, the safety in the schools.
Correct. I mean, we changed that office.
Changed
up
the
and
whole
down.
culture there.
Correct. And I mean, still, deputies today.
Yeah.
When they see me, I frequent a local pub. Every time I go there, if there's a deputy in there, I can't get the money out of my pocket.
Right.
I mean, they're like, "Thank you so much." I remember my wife and I were at a fundraiser, Can't Hurt Steel fundraiser. The year in 2023, after we had settled the CO's contract, the CSCA contract, and a guy walks up to me. And my wife's like, "Oh, this guy's like eyeing you up from across the room." I'm like, "We'll see what he has to say." He put his hand out. "I just want to thank you so much for giving us health insurance and in retirement." I mean, not only did we sell the contract, we lowered the steps from 17 years down to 11 years. We eliminated the first year, and we gave him health insurance retirement. Imagine working a county job for 25 years.
In the jail.
In the jail. Or I don't care what
Right.
job it is. And then at the end, a municipal job, and you leave without health insurance and retirement.
Right.
Is that insanity?
It's insanity.
It's insanity.
And yet, we got chastised in an executive session going over the negotiations.
Correct.
That although we had our team in place,
Correct.
and everybody had their role, and it was working, it was reminiscent of Red Auerbach and the Celtics.
It was pretty good.
And as a team, everybody had their role. Everybody respected one another. We were all in unison, and we were told to break it up.
But we did it.
We did.
I kept my majority together, which
Right.
is my job to do as the chairman.
Yep.
And we plowed forward, and we settled all 8 contracts.
Yep.
And we settled all 8 contracts with a 95% vote or better.
Or better.
It wasn't like we squeaked by with 51%. I mean, everyone was 95% or better. Okay, that's probation. That's the nurses. That's the
Laborers.
the labor, the LIU, the jail, the
PBA.
the PBA, the deputies,
Teamsters.
and the Teamsters. I mean, these are big contracts.
Big contracts.
Okay, and they were all settled. I see some of the probation people in the jail now,
Mm-hmm.
and they ask me, I see them in the gym now. I'm sorry, and they ask me questions all the time. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm giving them, what I think, would be the best avenue for them to go.
And the morale in the county was constantly up and improving, which you don't usually see during negotiations. There's often a lot of anxiety and an adversarial situation during negotiations. This was just the opposite.
Oh, no,
I mean,
it's complete opposite.
the employees, the people that negotiated on the other side. To this day, I see some of the folks that were lead negotiators for the other unions, and we're friendly today because they know that we treated them very fairly and we were right up front. We didn't blow smoke up their tailbones.
Correct, and we the one thing is we were honest with them up front.
Yep.
Okay, these are some things that we can't do. These are some things we can do, right? And one of the techniques that I use to sell contracts is, okay, what do we agree on? Okay,
Correct.
okay. So there's a laundry list. Trust me, it's not just dollars. And
No.
cents.
It's a long laundry list.
It's a long laundry list, and there's quality of life issues. There's stipends.
There's issues in the contracts that don't work
Correct.
logistically that need to be
that
changed.
were
Language that needs to be
outdated.
changed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And so I remember one contract had punch clocks. We're like, we don't use time cards anymore, but thank you very much. We pay a lot of money for Cronus. And so, you'd sit down and you'd have your list, and and so the way it works is, they have their demands, you have your demands, and you start going through things that you agree on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some things that obviously you want the best deal for the county.
Sure.
But they're county employees, and they live in our county too.
Oh, and the best
right?
deal for the county should be close to the best deal for the county employees.
Correct. So
They're who make the county work.
correct. And so there's 1,100 employees. I mean, there's a lot of employees.
Yeah.
So you would go through the things that you agree upon, right? Okay, we agree upon this. We don't agree upon this. I don't agree on this, but you don't agree on this. Can we swap this one out? I'll agree with this. You agree with that. Yeah. And you build a trust, and you build a camaraderie that, okay, these guys aren't going to screw us, right? Mm-hmm. Where when you just have a hired gun do it, right? His job is to get to a number. That's all his job is.
He's trying to build his portfolio.
Correct. He's just getting to a number. And that's his job, okay? But when you have people that you interact with, and you see in the bagel bakery, and you see, in the gym, and you see him at ShopRite, and you see him in Walmart, you see him around town at events and stuff, you build a camaraderie with people. You see him in the post office, and so you build a camaraderie, and that's how the whole thing works, and we were able to do that. So back to the original points, you have to settle your contracts if you want to run a good budget.
Sure.
Okay. It's the number one cost.
And then you can predict out 3-4 years where you're going to be.
Correct.
That part of the budget is set. You're not paying retroactive and.
Correct. So, do you know how many contracts they've settled so far?
Well, I would say that since they'd be going into their third year, out of 7, I would say
8. No, there's 8 of them. Okay.
8. So I would say at least 3, and on the cusp of the 4th.
0 is the answer.
0.
So they still have no idea what their costs are, but they're looking to break the cap because their expenses are too much already. Without even negotiating contracts yet. Like, they should know. They should have had a plan. Okay, who's up? When does this contract end? And let me tell you something.
It's tough for Josh to even predict it out.
Once the contract is over, it's tough to negotiate a new contract.
Ooh.
Okay?
Yeah.
You have to try, if you want to win the negotiation and do what's best for the county, you have to, once they're in the retro game, they're like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here tight.
And the order that they're done in, and I don't want to focus, is very important.
It's very important.
And when they're all over, it's very difficult to select that order, which kind of puts advantage employees and disadvantage county because you can't budget.
Correct.
And now you've got some big units that could really sway the budget one way or another. And then if you got to pay retro, it's even more.
Teamsters are,
500.
500 deep.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, go give them a 5% raise and see how your budget goes.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, it's a big deal because you have to remember, when you give someone a 5% raise, you then pay the extra payroll tax, Social Security, FICA, all that stuff on top of that. Okay? And then that goes into their retirements. And people need to understand that. And so there's a bigger cost to just 4% of, let's say someone makes $50,000 for argument's sake. It's more than just that 4%.
Sure.
There's
Sure.
a lot of costs that are incurred.
And the overtime costs are magnified also
Correct.
when they get the raise.
Correct. And then what happens is if you start laying people off, and no one ever looks at this, when you start laying people off, your overtime costs start skyrocketing. Because you still have to get the job done.
Right.
You get into a spiral that's very hard to be pulled out of.
I remember having this discussion with Chief Smith and with the sheriff and with the undersheriff.
Chief Smith, man, that guy knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff cold. And we were explaining to the sheriff and the undersheriff that what we were spending in overtime, and at that time they were down about 10 or 12 positions. But we tried to explain to them that what you're spending in overtime, we need to get these positions filled immediately, and because then when the overtime is done, we can take that money from overtime and give it back to the employees.
Correct.
And it costs the county nothing.
Correct. So now I believe they're fully staffed.
They're fully staffed now.
Okay, so, and that all came from our contract.
Correct.
Where it became a real job
Yeah,
again.
people we saw a mass increase right after that contract was signed. We saw a spike in applications.
Correct.
I mean, there was times that we would say, why are we down? We don't have any applications. We've been through everybody's, we had nobody.
Correct. Because the main thing was you didn't have health insurance in retirement.
Right.
So
It's not a career then.
it's not a career at that point.
It's
You're
a job.
correct. So to retire as a CEO, you need 25 years.
Right.
Okay. So I mean, if you go in at 25, I mean, most CEOs, I mean, this is a morbid stat, don't live 10 years after they retire.
That is correct.
Okay. So they're very concerned about they're not thinking they're going to get to 67, okay, and get full, Social Security benefits and all that fun stuff. Then I am thinking about that.
Right.
So you have to understand their mindset also, okay? So, I mean, so if you don't have your labor figured out,
Right.
okay, you are running the county right now on a shoestring because you've blown so much money on, I mean, what do they have to show for? Can you show me, the jail they built, the roads they pay? Can you show me what they've done with the money?
What they had no debt to pay down.
No.
They have the new facility at the airport, but that was pretty much paid for before you left.
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
mean,
much paid for before I walked out the door.
You had earmarked money to pay that to make it a little bit better facility.
They have reallocated money that I had put in the planning department so that towns could test their water to make sure that the ponds, lakes, and streams
Right.
of this county were clean and people could play in them safely. They reallocated that money because they were so short on money.
Yeah.
To put in perspective.
So what are you hearing? You're hearing that the tax cap again is, let's say it's 2.5%. It's usually a shade under that. Are you hearing the county is looking at 3-4%?
I'm hearing 10-12%.
10-12%. All right. Now, what that means for a person whose house is valued at $150,000, 12% increase in taxes is a lot of money.
So let's just take the Village of Liberty for a second. Just for a second.
So Village of Liberty, we spoke about this in the last edition of Ion Sullivan, had imposed a 17.59% increase. And full disclosure, I'm representing the PBA in their negotiations, the work that they do, the what they have to confront with these 3 hotels that the county and the state use here to house sex offenders and criminals. That
There has to
PBA
be a
does
better
a
way.
great job.
There has to be a better
There has
way.
to be a better way there. So Liberty, 17.59% increase.
But that's on top of an 8% from last year.
And so in 2 years, then they're at 25% increase in the highest per $1,000 of appraisal of assessment taxes in the state.
Your mortgage is cheaper than your taxes.
Oh, but far. I mean, my wife and I worked hard. We doubled up on our payments. We paid our mortgage off early, and we still have to put over $1,000 a month aside just to pay the taxes.
So we've talked about this. I own several properties in Bethel.
Right.
And I pay less on several properties in Bethel than you pay on one in the Village of Liberty.
And now, folks, Rob has said that to me just to make sure that the salt pours in. I had a few minutes the other day and actually looked his properties up, and he is absolutely correct.
Right.
His total taxes on his properties on his 5 are less than my 1
Correct.
in Liberty.
Correct.
And I don't have a super fancy house. I got a house on
Yeah,
a
nice
on
home.
a street. It's a nice
Nice home.
home. It's a nice, what should be a middle class home. It's a colonial.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
So-
not like a mansion.
But one of the main problems they had, and now obviously the health insurance has gone up.
Sure.
Okay. That they can't do anything about that.
And that's
okay?
the state.
Okay.
That's nice.
Their retirement costs have gone up. They can't do anything about that. Okay. Their workers' compensation has gone up. They can't do anything about that.
That's all, folks. Those are all. Village of Liberty is NYSHIP, New York State Health Insurance Plan, and they're dipping their toes in the water of looking at some options because New York State is crippling municipalities with the cost of NYSHIP.
Correct.
I know that when we were at the county, an individual plan was about $13,000.
Oh, yeah.
A family plan was about $30,000. I checked on it yesterday because I am representing a group that is negotiating with the village, and I will say to the village and us are very amicable. We're working together. We're rolling up our sleeves, and we're not going to talk anything more about it. But I learned through that process that an individual plan through NYSHIP is now $17,000. It's gone up from $13,000 to $17,000 in a year and a half that we've been
So
out of the
I
county.
have private health insurance.
Yeah.
And I pay $2,300 a month.
Yeah,
$2,300 a month.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And health insurance is off the hook.
it's off the hook.
So this is not all on the Village of Liberty
Right.
and management. Okay.
Parts is on the state. I mean, the state, our
Oh.
representatives are not helping us anymore.
Either is your county. 25% garbage increase. Okay. And we talked about this
Yep.
a ton of times. Their cost went up $10 and $1 for the hook fee for the thing that you
Right.
and I worked
Yep.
out. Okay. So their cost went up $11 and they jacked it
ton.
up by $50.
Like $50.
Okay. They got great. So not only have they reallocated all sorts of these little monies that was all over for quality of life issues in the county to pay the monster that they've created, they jacked your rate, your garbage rates up. So if you live in a village or if you have Beth or Thompson or a private company picking them up, they had to raise their rates.
Well, and let's face it, folks, that's the game that the state of New York has played with us for years. They try to keep your income tax lower, but every fee you pay, you go register a car, that fee went up. You get a traffic ticket, you pay $100 surcharge in addition to the fine that you pay.
Oh, and I know that well.
You know that well.
Okay.
All of the
My son,
state
not me.
fees
Yeah.
have gone
Through the
roof.
Correct. But now you
And so
miss-
now the county is following suit.
So now they're following suit because they cannot manage their money properly.
Right.
And this is not on
And it's not Josh.
This is not Josh. Because Josh makes suggestions and they say, well, in my district we need this, and that. No, let the towns pay for that.
Right.
Let them manage their budget. It's your job. I mean, I thought my number one job. Now remember why I ran the first time. The first time I ran was because they overspent their revenues 4 years in a row.
That's right. That's what got you out of your private office,
Correct.
because someone had to take control
I
of
was
this
like, this
thing.
is crazy to me.
Right.
Right? And I remember Mike Brooks used to say every day, we're only here temporarily, and the next legislature can unwind anything we do. And they are unwinding
And they are unwinding it.
at a rapid rate. I mean, wait till they start handing out. If they live up to their promises of what they promised these unions, you're going to see multiple breaks of the cap. Multiple breaks. You're going to see bonding at a level you have not seen since.
And you know what that's going to do? That's going to put more Pennsylvania plates in the government center parking lot, because they're going to give the unions raises. They're going to take it back in ridiculous tax increases, and it's going to cause our employees to go across the river to Pennsylvania, which is more tax friendly, and they're going to shop in Matamoros and not in Monticello, and the county's going to lose both sales tax revenue. They're going to lose good families that are hardworking people.
I mean, people who have been here generations. Generations of people.
Not as many generations as authorities, but the many
the Crumleys, let me tell you. The
Crumleys, yeah.
They've been here a little bit. So, and again, on a $150,000 appraised value, for every $150,000 appraised value of your home in the Village of Liberty, it's a $650 increase.
Increase, not tax. Increase.
So if you live, I mean, I don't think you could buy a home in Sullivan County for $150,000.
Probably not.
All right, so let's say you live in a home that's $250,000, $300,000 home.
Yeah.
It's $1,300.
Yeah.
Added on. Now, this is on top of your garbage fees going up. This is on top of, we won't even get into the electrical rates. Okay. The house next door to me, okay, that does not have a light on, does not have the water on, nothing on. Like last month's electric bill was $264, and most of that was delivery charges.
Yeah.
The bill itself is like $32.
Right.
Okay, but it was all the other fees
Sure.
that were added on to make the bill go through the roof.
So Village of Liberty goes up 17.59%. The county goes up, call it 10%.
Yeah, we'll say 10.
We'll say 10. So without dealing with the school district, which is certainly likely to follow suit, you're right there at almost a 30% increase, 27.59% increase in what you're paying. It's not exactly that, I understand, because the village share is probably more than the county share, but you're talking about certainly several $1,000s more out of your pocket. Now, when you have to pay several $1,000s more, call it $2,000 more, call it $1,500 more out of your pocket, with a, I think when we left, it was about a $65,000 median household income.
Correct.
In the county. What does that do to your discretionary income? What does that do to your ability to go to a restaurant, buy stuff at Home Depot, buy stuff at Walmart? What does it do to it?
It crushes your sales tax.
I mean,
in that
that's
county.
it. It crushes your sales tax then. So
Correct.
it becomes a vicious cycle.
So now we learned last year was the first year that sales tax exceeded, what we take in on taxes. Okay. So now, with all these tax increases, you're going to crush that sales tax number.
Sure.
Right? Because we became a sales tax economy. Okay. We don't have manufacturing here.
Correct.
Or very little manufacturing. So when you start taking away at that, you're now, who pays the bill?
Yeah.
I mean, literally turn out the lights on the way out.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, the lights were already off because you probably
Right.
got shut off because your electric bill was through the roof.
Right.
I mean, but that's another story for another day. So, I mean, this is, let's go over Monticello.
Yeah,
real
let's
fast.
go on to Monticello. That's great.
So Monticello, and I do not blame Rochelle and that board there. They were left some pretty bad numbers. So they're going up.
Monticello is a village
Correct.
that historically has been on the radar of the comptroller's office. And
Well, I think you're being kind on that.
for a period of time, were on the verge of bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a restriction that they could not raise taxes. They had
Correct.
reached their limit for taxation in
Which
the
is
village
crazy to me, right?
by the comptroller's office.
Correct.
And that's why the county had to pick up their share of the East Broadway project
Correct.
because they just literally could not come up with $750,000
So yeah, they had come
for
up with
27 years.
So they had come up with $750,000. George Nicolatis said, "We don't have the money." The project was all set
Is that
to
the
go.
guy that ran against Terry?
They ran
You know,
against
he
them.
wanted to have. They wanted another tax and spend liberal.
Oh, this would have been crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So let's go through Monticello.
so he gave out 6% increases to the employees.
Hey, that's great.
And
They love him.
And Rochelle was like, "We can't afford that."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you do the math, if you do a 2%, 3% tax increase,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to the cap, you're doubling the cap. Where are we going to get that money from?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But he was doing it to try to get
get
reelected.
elected.
Correct.
Right.
So he was spending, monies to get reelected. It didn't work, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So they're upping their sanitation fees on top of the 9.5%. Oh, inside the 9.5%. They're upping their sanitation fees by 20%.
20% increase in their sanitation fees.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I mean, not only that. Oh, just real fast to go back to Liberty, they, if I understand this correctly, are doubling their water and sewer bills.
Doubling them.
Dublin. So I don't know what a household. I mean, you would know better than me. I don't know what it is annually.
Yeah, my sewer water bill runs about $250 a quarter.
Okay, so $1,000. Now you're going $2,000
Right.
plus your $1,500. So now you're down $2,500
Right.
annually. Because of poor
Well, plus
management.
garbage.
And again, it's not
Plus sanitation fee increasing by 20%.
and it's not always. It's not, Joan or
Mm-hmm.
Rochelle's fault because they're being handed horrible stuff by the state and by the county.
Oh.
And now they have to react to that.
Correct.
And these are places that have police forces. By the way, you don't want them to get rid of their police forces.
Oh, no.
Okay, let me
you
tell
get
you.
rid of the police forces or you even downgrade them, your property values plummet.
Well, one, your property values are going to plummet. Number two, the county's picking up the tab on that.
Correct.
Because you still need to police those areas.
Desperately.
Okay. So don't think that we'll get rid of the village. That's not a good idea, folks.
Right.
Because you need the police forces. Okay. Because otherwise you have to hire people into the county to police it.
Correct.
And then people in Coshocton and Bethel are paying for the policing in downtown, village of Liberty and Monticello.
Which is fine for those of us that live in a village.
Correct.
However, we understand that you live out in Coshocton, you give up a little bit to live out in the more
Correct.
rural areas, but you also gain that you're not having to pay
Correct.
that big number.
Correct. And I have to tell you, Danny Sturm is the supervisor in Bethel. Mm-hmm. He keeps us at or under the cap every single year.
Mm-hmm.
He does a great job managing our budget. Him and I have an open dialogue. We talk about it all the time. He's a fiscal wonk.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy perusing the budget and asking questions. And, he does a very good job because he's been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. When you have turnover, when you have people that go after the fiscal hawks because they won't cooperate, okay, and you get rid of them, and you put people in charge that have no idea what they're doing.
And then have an agenda for one particular thing or two particular things.
Correct. And it's not to keep the taxes low.
Correct.
This
Well, they'll
is,
say it is.
this is what you get. Okay.
Right.
The meetings are still a mess. There's zero transparency. The costs are going through the roof. I mean, was this a good move?
Yeah.
Getting rid of stable management?
Mm-hmm.
You do what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. So what for our audience, and we're going to be wrapping up here in the next couple minutes.
Because I'm freezing.
Yeah, well, we got a new pump here
And it works.
in the exercise room. Jacob was upset last week; it wasn't working. So
Bruce, it works.
it's working great now, and we don't have a waterfall in here yet, as we did in my conference room, but it's looking good. What are the people to do? There's no election to come up. We can't tell them to go out and vote. Do we encourage our audience to get out to the
I mean,
county meeting on Thursday morning?
I would call your legislator and
Yeah.
say, hey, I mean, I at what point does the battle break?
Yeah,
Okay?
It's got to be breaking. I mean, they had a meeting in the Village of Liberty 2 weeks after the bills came out. Well, you know what? That's doesn't do much good to give the public some say after the bill's already out. My bill was paid the day I got it, obviously because of my position with negotiating against the village. But you know,
I go the last second.
what?
I couldn't care less.
I know that.
couldn't
Trust
care
me,
less.
do I know that I get phone calls?
I hate
So
it.
we need to call our legislators and say, look, you guys need to, more than anything else, we put you in there. You didn't have red stocking caps and you didn't have any reindeer. We need you to control our costs so that we can keep our money in our pockets.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen here. I mean, this is out of control. I mean,
Yeah.
This is a lot of money.
Yeah. And this could break the county, and it could create more. It just snowballs. It will create more loss of jobs, more welfare.
I mean,
more
if you look at
Medicaid.
last month's jobs, I know on Mid-Hudson News they were like, oh, we have the lowest unemployment rate, 2.8% in the county, in the Mid-Hudson, blah, blah, blah. Look inside the numbers. Our service employees hospitality, 0 year over year.
Yeah.
Year over year, 0.
Zero growth.
That is where we get our sales tax
That's
from.
where sales tax comes
Okay?
from.
If that's 0, folks, you're not growing as a county.
Correct.
You're a sales tax economy.
Correct.
We are a service economy. If that is 0, there's going to start being more problems down the road.
And of course, add to that there are a number of legislators that concur with the supervisors that we should be sharing sales tax revenue. So if we do that, sales tax revenue is dropping, and now we're giving some of it away, that hole just gets bigger.
Oh, I mean, there's one supervisor that called, the treasurer saying, demanding it. And, she's like, we can't pay our bills.
Right.
How are we going to pay you?
Right.
I mean,
And that's part of the reason that there was an impetus to get rid of you and Mike and George, because you were pretty stalwart in your position that we will help you fiscally. We will teach you to fish, so to speak.
Correct.
And you gave them opportunities to generate new revenue sources.
Correct.
They said, no, we want your revenue sources.
Correct.
So
I've said this from day one, before I was elected. I'm out of office 19 months now, and I'll tell you again. There's many ways to generate revenue.
Right.
Okay? You just have to look at them.
You gotta look at 'em.
And if you're not willing to look at them, you just want a check from, the next one up on the ladder. It doesn't work like that.
Well, and I relate to people that you came into my office early on and you said, we're going to generate revenue through these bed tax situation. You need to go after these people and you need to generate, they need to be paying what they should
Correct.
be paying. And a year and a half later, we were 3 times the bed tax revenue.
So when I came into office, the year before I came into office, the SCVA, Sullivan County Visitors Association, received $900,000.
That's bed tax revenue, folks.
Correct. So the year I left, they got $3.1 million.
Yeah. And that's because you walked into the county attorney's office and said, this is unacceptable.
Correct.
We've got all of these temporary rentals that are hiding behind the mask of VRBO and Home and Away and Airbnb. And you need to figure out, Mr. County Attorney, how to get them to start paying.
you did.
And we did.
Correct.
And largely for that, and that was just one of many things that you did, but that's something that you and I can
Correct.
talk about because
Correct.
we lived through it.
Oh, we lived through it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were suing Expedient,
Yeah.
the big, firm out of Chicago said,
yeah.
well, we don't agree with you, and we fought this fight, and then they gave us a case down in Nassau,
Yeah.
and I read that case, and I was in like 5 seconds, like, this isn't what we're talking about.
Correct.
We're talking about 2 different things here, and you came up with a solution. Not only did you come up with a solution, 30, 40 other counties called you and said, "How'd you do that?"
Across the country.
Correct.
Not just in New York.
Yeah. Like, wait, how did you do that?
Yeah, we've been trying to do that. How'd you do that?
And we explained. You explained how you
You're
did
right.
that, and Expedient. I'm sure they're not the biggest fans of you.
No, no.
Because you're colluding to steal tax money.
Steal tax money.
Correct.
Right. So folks, that'll we're getting close to wrapping it up
Thank God, 'cause
for
I'm freezing in
today.
here, Jacob.
It is freezing in here. I want to remind everyone that part of what keeps us going each week is our sponsors, and one of those is the Wurtsboro Diner.
Yeah,
you want to talk about? We talk about post a comment or email or something. We can do you better than that. Get down to Wurtsboro Diner. Rob is there
there.
most days. Sit down and talk to him. He will
Correct.
talk to anyone, any day, anytime. And the food at the Wurtsboro Diner, the menu is a brand new menu.
Correct.
You want to read the ads? There's some great ads in that menu, and
They're
you
pretty
want
good
to
ads,
go down there and visit the Wurtsboro Diner. If you are listening to us on Spotify, you want to make sure that you subscribe. We need to get the subscriptions up to 1,000 so we can start doing live streaming, and we can take your comments live and include you as part of the show. So you want to subscribe. You want to share the link with others, but please, not just excerpts. Share the whole link on your pages so that we open the dialogue. That's what we want to do, and open the dialogue on these topics. And if you differ from us and you want to come on and you want to talk about something different, if Nadia Reich wants to come on, there's a chair right there next to Rob, and she can sit right there and explain why her approach to fiscal management is more sound than Rob's, because she certainly criticized it regularly and roundly for 4 years that she was there.
I believe one year she voted against the budget.
Well, not only did she vote against the budget, but I believe Mr. Alvarez voted against the budget, and Mr. Perillo voted to not fund any paving.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
had that.
did. And then the funny thing about that is I took him off DPW
For that reason.
as the chair.
Right.
For that reason, because you're voting against
The DPW budget.
the BTW budget, and I got criticized for that by management of the Republican Party. I'm like, you can't vote against the budget.
Right, right. So, and I notice more people watch us on YouTube, which concerns me because I've always believed that I had a face for radio.
You do.
But more people are watching us on YouTube. And if you are, stop what you're doing right now. Look down to the bottom of your screen and
Smash, right?
that like button.
Yeah.
And folks, leave us a comment. You can also drop us a line at ionsullivan@gmail.com. That's EYE onsullivan@gmail.com. We thank our audience once again. We're here for you, and we thank you for joining us this week, and remind you to check us out next week for another edition of Ion Sullivan. Have a great July. We will talk to you next week.